We're back to Imaginary Only.
Oh, you're actually getting this done?
Well, I gotta. I'm the second Imaginary Only account. And the only one that's still going, as far as I'm aware.
You could have fooled me. All I've seen you do is make memes for the past few weeks.
That's like half this channel. You knew what you were signing up for when you agreed to this.
Ah, you're not wrong, but at least you're improving in your own way, I suppose.
So anyway, let's try to blitz through the storyline as much as we can. After all, we have Rappa coming in a week or so. And on top of that, Dan Hung is also coming in that same patch. So we need every jade that we can scrape together. So we settle down on the couch as we wait to travel to Picori, when we're dragged into the dream world to mainly showcase a lot of what we'll be dealing with in this chapter. Prepare for a lot of whimsy and things that can only happen in a dream. Like, say for example, floating lamps. Or the professor having a pleasant conversation with Aventurine.
Oh, ha ha ha, very funny.
Before we're then cut in twain by a cute girl to bring us back to the waking world. We then start crying because even in our dreams, there's still no ratio rerun.
Oh, for the love of...
Pom Pom, of course, asks us why we're crying, and... Pom Pom, you just wouldn't get it. You just wouldn't get it. We then rush into the dreamscape of Picori, before we encounter another waifu. Sadly, she isn't imaginary either. We have to wait next week for that. We then go on a date with her, as we think about whether or not the Game Awards will give us another free character to start another elemental run with, and hope that it's not fire or lightning, as those are taken up already.
You're cheating on me already?
What? No, what? That's not fair at all.
Oh, don't be that way. Everyone knows you're stuck with me.
Anyway, so we continue the date with our mandated waifu, Firefly, as Sampo of course intervenes in to showcase one of my biggest secret weapons, in case I get roadblock in this run. That's right. In Picori, regardless of your equilibrium level, you can get 5-star relics in some of the chests. Which means that if we do struggle on any of the bosses, we can try to overpower them with sheer stats. This is why I've kept maneuvering and keeping my world level low, for in case I need to resort to this. We're not going to use them right now, but this is an option. So we do more puzzles and environmental maneuvering until we reach our first boss, finally. The Meme Beast.
The memes. Show me.
Are you serious right now? You picked the lowest hanging fruit for this. Ah, what am I to do with you?
So, something unto death is not a hard fight to get. However, it does have an annoying capture mechanic, much like Svarog. Its main weakness is dot damage, DOT damage. So it serves as a highlight for Black Swan, who helps us out during this fight. Once again, because she isn't imaginary, I avoid using her as much as I can. But the game forces us to use her assistant skill at least once, like usual. We then come up to fight a White Ranger cosplayer, who's very unhappy to be confused with the Kamen Rider character instead, as he drags us into combat. I'm then lamenting every time he ults, because his playable version doesn't have this animation, and I personally think that is a step down.
Can't help but agree with that. This ultimate attack is by far more stylish. But Aren't you going to talk about the mechanics for the fight? Or must I do your job for you?
Okay, Professor. Sheesh. The mechanics of this fight aren't that special. Every time you consume skill points, he just hits harder. And the field that he's on reduces the amount of healing that healers can do. This doesn't really affect us much currently, as we have a shielder instead. But this would be rough if we had, say, Luocha instead as a sustain. Overall, though, it's not a terrible fight. Again, this is just a warm-up for the main event, which is the Aventurine fight. Anyway, after the Sam fight, we skip forward to bros being bros, doing bro things, like messing around with dioramas and gachapon, as well as enacting the part in Dark Souls 1. You know, the one where you encounter Guinevere, and you're completely breathtaken by the glorious chest ahead.
Excuse me. My eyes are up here.
And now we finally get to the main fight that we've all been waiting for. We swap out Harmony Trailblazer with March instead, as her Sifu buff on ratio will be incredibly important, and we can't break him anyway. After we form a good team for the fight, we open to the cutscene with Aventurine, as he shows us his rad D12s he bought the other day. Which makes me wonder if there's a D12 system.
Savage World systems, such as Deadlands, I suppose.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. We should play that together.
I'd rather not. You'd just force me into being the GM again.
Oh, don't act like you don't enjoy that. So anyway, this particular boss fight is probably one of the most intricate boss fights in the entire game. And it is also by far the most polarizing. It is a two-part fight where he has a basic single target attack, 2 AoE attacks, one being a bounce, while the other just steals energy from your ult, before after a couple of turns, then he goes into what I call the gamble phase. This is a phase where he becomes invincible, except for the 2 dice in which you hit, and if you reach the above target number, you get all of your energy back. If you don't, he hits you with a heavy damaging attack that has a chance to stun for a turn. The secret to this is that you can hit the dice more than once with follow-up attacks, as well as hit both dice, therefore increasing your chances of winning the engagement. It makes the fight feel RNG laden, until you realize that it was made with both AoE and follow-up attacks in mind. The second part of this fight, he pulls out 4 dice, and goes into this phase every other turn. This takes a toll on skill points, as a lot of AoE skills or follow-ups consume a lot of them. But as long as you keep what I said in mind, this is an easy fight. Keep in mind though, also, that it is a marathon, and not a sprint.
Very good explanation. You're learning for sure. 10 points.
Thank you, Professor. But between that knowledge, as well as the fact that this boss fight has 40% imaginary resistance, I thought for sure this was going to be a harder fight. However, this was still very close. Either way, we put a stop to game night as we continue on to the story. We'll make sure to raise the equilibrium level after all. I can't imagine the final boss of Picori being that bad. And as a treat, we'll go for the Topaz Light Cone. And wow. As you can see, we did not get very good luck on that. But at least we didn't lose the 75-25, eh? So, Professor now has a good 5-star option for now. At least until he gets his rerun. If he ever gets his rerun.
I appreciate it.
As well as March gets to have Herta's Light Cone in turn. So, that's it for this episode. The next one will be wrapping up Picori as well. As seeing if we can tackle the Hule fight. hopefully before Rappa comes out. So that way we can catch up on the story, roll for Rappa, and then make an entire video on that. Because, God knows, that patch will be hell on my Jade reserves. But anyway, like, subscribe, or don't. I'll put out the next video soon. Either way, I'll see you then.